What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're finally going to do the transmission, so we're going to move that car in and get ready to work on that thing. Well, the car started up really good, but I can hear something in here. I don't know if the camera's picking that noise up. It definitely sounds like the gear broke inside. So hopefully first gear works enough just to get me into the garage. So in terms of order, you want to take off the airbox, remove the throttle body, move it out the way, and then take off the headers. We got to remove the exhaust to take off the headers, and then the drive shaft. And there, now I can start swapping over parts from the W55 onto W58. But first, we're gonna take this apart, just because I never took one apart before. And I'm gonna see how we're gonna swap over the tail housing. So the goal is to take off this tail housing and put it onto the W55. So I'm gonna drain it, flip it up, and we're gonna go through how to take off the tail housing. So it's my first time, and you guys are gonna follow me. Right now, I'm draining the fluid out of the W58, and so far it looks pretty clean. Looks like the oil was kind of fresh too, so that's a good sign. I'm gonna flip back up and then start disassembling right here. All right, first I'm loosening these two bolts on the side. They're like for like the neutral switch. So loosen these two, and then we're gonna take out this little one right here. All right, so these are 24s, and I believe this one's a 12. So yep, that's a 12, and we're gonna take this one off. And after you take this off, this should be able to slide around, and then we can remove all these tail housing bolts. Sorry, so you're gonna wanna take off all these little bolts, they're 14. Then you wanna get something to just hammer these pins on the outside of both sides to break them loose. And then now you have the tail housing out. So take out all the bolts, and then we'll take that one out and swap it over. All right, guys, I'm gonna need you to scratch everything I just said about the W58 swap, and I did some research last night, and I figured out I was approaching it all wrong. So let me show you what I need to do now and kind of what the different variations of the W58 are and how to swap them depending on which one you have. All right, so actually I talked to a couple people, and if you have this style tail housing case right here, where you don't need to swap over the tail housing, you actually just need to swap over the cross member brace right here, as well as the shifter fork that came from the W55, along with the ball joint right here, and then the shifter housing. So these three pieces here you need from the W55, from the old shifter housing. And then you're gonna use this shifter housing instead of the W55. The only time you need to swap over the W55 housing is when you had the tripod case. And I'm gonna put a picture right now. And so if you had the tripod case, that's when you need to swap over this tail shaft housing over to here. So right now, I'm gonna put this all together and see if it works out and swap over the bell housing. All right, so I have both cross member off. I have the mount from the W55, and it actually looks in still really good condition. So yeah, hard rubber, I don't see any cracking at all. I'm wondering if it's been replaced, but besides the point, the mounts are different. So as you can see, this is a W55 mount, and this is a W58 mount. So only one of the bolts or two of the bolts line up. You can either go, let's see if you can see it. You can either go to these first ones here, or this back one back here. And so it's actually better to go all the way to the back and get these back bolts, and then this one. So we're gonna mount it just like that. All right, so I have the W55 mounted. As you can see, there's that one bolt in that's bolted in the one that's further back. And then I have the shifter ball right here, as well as the shifter rod that are from the W55. And then I'm gonna use a shifter housing from the W55. And then I also have this gasket that's a lot thicker than the one that came on here. Because apparently someone said if you don't have the right gasket, you have to use like 3 or 4 layers of gasket. So I'm gonna use the W58 one right here, which is already thicker. So that way it shifts in easier. And then all I have to do is swap the bell housing to the 2JZ one, which is right there. And then this swap should be ready to go. Don't forget to swap your speed sensor, which is right here, as well as your reverse light switch, which is right here. These both came off the W55. The old W58 was an analog one, so really old school, which is right there. And the ground was all messed up somewhere, so this is all you need to do to swap a W58 that's a non-tripod edition. The one that's a tripod mount, it's a little bit different. You gotta swap the W55 housing onto here, but this is a W58 tail housing and it should work. So let's get to it. All right, so the W58 is finally in. You can see, damn, you can see that glare. All right, so yeah, it's finally in. You can see the bell housing, I cleaned it up a little bit. You can see where I only use one bolt out of the two, but it's still lined up. I had to, you know, give it a little bit push, but it still worked perfectly fine. And so the shifter lines up perfectly too. Let me show you guys. Shifter still lines up perfectly, so all I gotta do is tighten the bolts and yeah, tighten the bolts and see how this car feels. Hopefully the drive shaft lines up, but we'll find shortly enough. All right, thank you guys for watching that video. I really didn't show you guys how to take the trans out or put it back in. It was more about how to swap a W55 to a W58. There's a lot of videos on how to do a clutch job or take out the transmission, so I just want to give a little information just how to upgrade a trans if you're going from a W55 to W58, just because I haven't seen any videos like that. But thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and next week we're gonna go drifting. So this is a whole new setup. I'm gonna go test it out and I hope it feels good. So see you guys in the next one.